Welcome to Austin Peay Week alongside Eric Kane, Rob Lewis, and Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable. Guys, this is a game Tennessee should win rather handily on Saturday. Austin Peay struggled a week ago, and this should be a game where you get the guys in, get them out, and play a lot of young kids.
Yeah.
But still put up a lot of points.
Well, you've got to put up points. I mean, you got to do those things. I mean, to me, the biggest question is this team's focus this week. Josh Heupel's talked about the maturity, Rob, of this team all offseason, how they've gone about their business. Where are they from a focal standpoint to start this game? Are they dialed in, get their business done early, or is this one of these kind of sloppy, we're bored, not really interested in this game type deal?
Yeah, I'll be surprised if they're sloppy. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to be coming out hitting on all cylinders, but it is, a speed bump game. Everybody's fired up to play in the opener. I mean, no matter what kind of opponent it is, everybody's going to be beyond fired up to go to Gainesville, and try to win down there for the first time in forever. But this team, this mindset that we see from them, the maturity, I think the culture Coach Heupel talks about a lot. I'm not saying they'll come out and be perfect Saturday, but I don't think they'll stumble around and just look atrocious.
Yeah, I think it's some distractions this week. The uniforms, the alternate uniforms. You've got, of course, the home opener at Neyland Stadium, an opponent that everybody knows is not on your playing field, and so it's about Tennessee versus Tennessee. What can you do? And it's not just Saturday. It's Tuesday and Wednesday in practice. Can you be dialed in? Can you be focused? And everything you hear about the leadership of this team and those veterans, it sounds like they can accomplish that. But of course, we won't know until Saturday.
Let's start with the number one veteran, and that's quarterback Joe Milton. Coach Heupel said after the game, not totally in rhythm last week. Not talking about Joe, more so just the overall skill guys. How big do you think it is to get the offensive passing game clicking early, just to get some rhythm? Because he's not going to play a whole lot in this game.
Well, I mean, I think you don't want to come out and have Joe, be inaccurate and overthrow guys and that type of thing. So, I mean, when the opportunity is there to make a play, they need to make a play. I think they got to get Dante Thornton going more in this game. And find some rhythm and the continuity. It doesn't matter though, Rob. I mean, he can throw 97% completion percentage this week and 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the questions next week are all going to be the same.
I agree. I mean, I think on one level you might feel a little better if he had a couple of deep balls, threw for 3 touchdowns in the first half, looked sharp and got out. But I mean, you're right. I mean, I think what he does Saturday is not going to have a big impact or foretell what he's going to do in Gainesville, a week from Saturday. But I just think probably if you're Josh Heupel or Joey Halsey, you'd like to see him go out and maybe light it up for a couple quarters.
What we just saw right there, I just don't see that happening a whole lot Saturday. Running the football, I think you'll see Joe in the pocket and only in the pocket.
Well, I think too, I mean, against Virginia, as Brent pointed out, I mean, they had 6 guys in the box, so that's why you ran the football so much. I mean, say Austin Peay does that, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Ones against ones. Tennessee should be able to do whatever Tennessee wants to do, win those one-on-one matchups. So when you're talking about wanting to see some deep balls completed, when you're talking about trying to get those offensive skill guys kind of in sync and back on track, Tennessee should be able to accomplish that regardless of what Austin Peay wants to bring out. And then again, you get those guys out, you let Nico and the other guys go in.
It will be interesting because Joey Halsey spoke on Tuesday about Joe taking what they gave you, not forcing it. Do they call something to force some vertical stuff?
Yeah, I do think they're going to take some shots.
That'll be, if Austin Peay's playing back or, depends on how Austin Peay plays them, do they come in with the mindset of, regardless of what that defensive setup looks like, we're going to try to throw it over your head to get that rhythm going? I think that'll be an interesting deal.
Yeah, do they force it? I do think they're going to take a deep shot or two, whether it's by scheme or just straight go routes. And then they're going to continue to try to run the ball. It's another chance to kind of figure out where you're at on the offensive line by running the football and running it effectively.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this and I'll say this. Get those guys out. I mean, Javonte Spraggin shouldn't play a ton of snaps. Certainly don't need to get Jalen Wright beat up in this game. I mean, take care of your business, Eric. Get those guys off the field and really figure out where you're at in terms of who you think can help you this fall, who needs a lot more development before they can help you. Who are you going to ride with when you decide what 70 you're going to take on the road or going to take into conference play when you can only dress 70?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much a preseason scrimmage. And again, that's no disrespect to the opponent, but it is what it is. Go in there and work on some things you want to work on, get good work, and then get out and let the Dane Davises, the Ollie Lanes, the Jackson Lampleys, some of those Andre Kerrigs on the offensive line. And then defensively, which we'll talk about in a moment, you just empty the bench and let all those guys go in and try to make some plays.
Yeah, in the running game, I think
Cam Seldon, absolutely.
Yeah. Khalifa Keith. Like, this is a game where and you let the young guys eat. You don't like go in there and just try to stall. I'm not saying you need to score 80, but like, you need to put some points on them. Get the engine revved a little bit, right? I mean, I think it's important to hit 60 at least in this football game.
Well, it's not just a point total. It's about getting when those guys get in, letting them play, Rob, because you've got to have an evaluation on whether or not, if called upon, those guys can help you or not.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, they didn't dial it up with Nico last week, but I mean, he came in the fourth quarter. I mean, he got to throw a couple balls, and you saw his pocket presence when he got out one time under pressure. But I thought that they weren't dialing up deep shots for him, but I mean, I thought they let him play. I would really like to see that for 2 quarters with him. And I thought, based on recent history, I thought Coach Heupel did that with Joe Milton, last year when he would come into games that were out of hand. They would still let him run the offense. So I would anticipate that will be how they would handle Nico as well.
Saturday, I would say you don't see Aaron Beasley a whole lot, and I think you'll see a lot of Arion Carter and Elijah Herring, Caleb Perry, Jeremiah T. Lander, Jalen Smith, any of those young backers. I think they're going to play a ton of snaps Saturday.
Well, I mean, what we saw on Saturday in Nashville is they rotated guys pretty early. Now, the linebackers, Carter got in a little bit later, but they were rotating some of those other backers pretty early. Yeah, I think you play everybody, and that includes safety. You got to get those guys off the field and play the other safeties. And I understand where Tim Banks is coming from, and he's comfortable with those guys, and he wants to be comfortable with those guys. But at the same time, too, you got to get those young guys some work and get them going.
I mean, what an opportunity here for Jordan Thomas. What an opportunity for Christian Charles, guys that were banged up, guys that didn't practice an awful lot during fall camp. Andre Turntime was there. It would be an opportunity for him as well. But, those guys, we're talking about, we saw a lot of corners. We saw a lot of stars, early rotations. I mean, if you truly are going to rotate at that safety position and have the trust to put some guys out there, I mean, a game against Austin Peay, they should be playing, 25, 30 snaps, those guys, and seeing what they can do.
Let's have a little fun this week, since this is a game Tennessee's going to win rather handily. Most touchdowns. I mean, no one saw Dylan Sampson getting 4 last week. Most touchdowns this week goes to who? So that's some wild predictions.
Wild predictions. I think they get Dante Thornton going. I think he gets a couple this week. I think he plays more than any of the other receivers. So give me a bit of a breakout game for Dante Thornton.
Hubbard stole mine because I think they're going to force feed him. I think they want to see what he can do, but since I think it will be a second team receiver because I think they'll let Nico play. I'll go Caleb Webb.
I will go Cam Seldon. I think Cam Seldon scores his first touchdown in a Tennessee uniform. I don't know if he'll score multiple touchdowns, but if I'm calling something, I think Cam Seldon's going to play an awful lot, and I think Cam Seldon's going to find the end zone.
And I'm going to go McAllen Castles just to be different. I think he's going to get 2, and
AP's guy.
I was going to say that, but I won't Seldon.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. He told me when we taped Ball Club Confidential the other night that Jacob Warren's been trying to get him to do a certain type of dance celebration on his first touchdown at Neyland. We'll see if a reserved McAllen Castles is willing to break it out come Saturday. For Eric Kane, Rob Lewis, and Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable.